get better real soon.
legendary war party. Our very own little slice of Middle-earth, coming to you live and direct from Cologne in Germany. Of course, it is gamescon week in Cologne. Or yeah, how are you doing? Game. The shiny-headed. Go back to the encampment and just for a second. I told. I'd love to see cosplay. Up as an orc on an Uruk High, send us a photo. If you hashtag everything with Shadow of War, then we'll be able to see it as well. And speaking of that, we've got a Shadow snap for Shadow of And to demo that to us, I'd love to introduce Nikisha, our very first. Everybody give up for Nikisha! Very first. Look at that.
Be hilarious.
Nikisha, well done.
Well,
thanks very much.
So, the lens will unlock for 1 hour, which will turn you into the...
You've ready to get on board with Xbox One S, then that is a great way to do it. And you'll also get yourself a great copy of Shadow of War as well.
Oh, look at that.
Pretty decent, right?
Yeah.
All right, we're going to get things started off with Michael de Platter in just a minute. But in the meantime, let's take a look at a brand new trailer we debuted on the Xbox show the other night. This is Monsters of Middle-earth.
What do they unearth? They are summoning death. But it will be death for all. What is she?
Do you grow? Do you wither?
Italian. I cannot. What do they unearth? What do they unearth? They are summoning death. But it will be death for all. What is she?
Do you grow? Do you wither?
Italian. I cannot defeat her. What would you suggest I do? Throw down your sword and...
What have we unleashed? We unleashed.
The cry of the forests. Scream of the rivers.
Is beyond us, Celebrimbor.
Not with the spirit of Kana at our side.
Missions, like we really want to have some of the most iconic villains from Lord of the Rings and Middle-earth. So we have Sauron, we have the Witch King, we have the Nazgul, and now we're showing one of the missions where we introduce one of the Balrogs as well. So
yeah, we just saw from that Monsters trailer, you're bringing in some of the biggest beasts from the world of Middle-earth, right?
yeah, I think if there's one thing that we're trying to approach the sequel to Shadow of Mordor with, is to just make everything epic. So the scale of the world, the scale of the battles, the scale of the story, the scale of the monsters, the scale of the army that you're building, just really trying to make it live up to what you imagine when you think of Lord of the Rings. You know, Return of the King or the Battle of Helm's Deep, but just epic.
And speaking of epic, this party. Have
This
you
is
been outside and
unbelievable.
had a look around?
It's just blowing my mind. It's so weird, you know?
It must be
To
particularly cool for you to work on a game like this. Obviously, you know, such a
It's
storied
crazy.
franchise and lore, and then to come to a party like this and see it brought to life in front of your eyes.
Yeah, just see it brought to life. I mean, even just seeing the art everywhere is amazing, seeing the posters, seeing people playing it, you know, because just to have actual end users and players and fans get to come and get their hands on the game for the first time.
And people are getting their hands on Shadow of War right here, you know, literally meters away from us. Tell us about the demo that you brought that people are getting hands on with you.
Well, so we're giving people access to an entirely new region that no one has gotten access to before, and it's Gorgoroth. So this is one of the hardest regions in the game. So this is right on the slopes of Mount Doom in the shadow of Barad-dûr. So it's like tough enemies, it's like new story missions like the Balrog, it's some of our side missions and collectibles, just really opening it up so people can explore the world.
What kind of feedback are you getting from people? Because one of the things I love about Gamescom is that it's actual gamers, real fans getting hands-on with these games for the first time. So what are you hearing?
Well, the thing I really love, because Gorgoroth's tough, people die a lot.
Yes.
But one of
I
the
can vouch for that because I played earlier and I got mullered.
Yeah, but one of my favorite things about this game is when you die, you're just making a new story.
Yeah.
So the orc that kills you, it's just an awesome day for him. He's going to level up, he's going to move up in orc society, and you're going to have a new mission in the world to hunt him down, take your vengeance.
Speak of the devil, your nemesis has just turned up.
Hello,
Sneak attack.
indeed. You got to love the orcs.
I love the stage management of the orcs that's going on here. You can't control the orcs. Just relax. Oh my God, I didn't even really see him.
I love him in the game. It's always a little awkward in real life.
Yeah, let's try and stay on target. Stay on target. So one of the things I loved about playing the demo earlier, and it was definitely where it was challenging, was the fortress assault. Talk us through that in detail. It's epic.
Yeah, so that's the great. We've just been able to kind of move up a whole kind of level in terms of the scale of those. But the fun thing is, so you can just go and one-man army, or I guess Talion and Celebrimbor, two-man army, and try and take the fort on yourself. Or you can build up your army to assault it and make it easier. Or you can invest the time, assassinate the war chiefs, infiltrate your spies into the fort, and basically just walk in and dominate the whole thing. So it can be ridiculously difficult and really challenging, and people said they wanted that extra challenge. Yeah. Or you can have fun and manipulate and create your own stories in the Nemesis system and just, you know, dominate it that way as well. So
the thing I noticed is it's relentless. You know, once you kick that mode off, I love the strategy up front, by the way. You know, the way that you're looking at the defenders and you're picking your allies and choosing the buffs that you want to take in there with them. But then once you're in there, it does not stop until you get stopped or you take over the fortress.
Yeah, and it can turn as well. I just had this fantastic battle the other day. Actually, I was helping someone play, and they stormed in, and I was like, oh, you know, this is just going too easy. Their armies just rolling over the enemies, and then they got right the way up to the keep, and then he killed this enemy war chief, who was a blood brother of one of their most powerful followers. Right. So suddenly the guy who's been like their most reliable and powerful follower just freaks the hell out. It's like, you killed my blood brother, turns on him, betrays him in that moment, and then the whole story just flipped. And suddenly his warriors are bleeding out everywhere, it's chaos, he's down to one last chance. So it's just, anything can happen.
That reminds me of another cool moment in my playthrough was where I was downed by a war chief, but then one of my allies actually stepped in and took him out before he could execute me. And I thought it's another cool little just shift up to that pattern of play, right?
Yeah, and just building that relationship with your followers as well as your enemies. And you know, one thing we miss a little bit when we have these kind of shorter demos of just playing a fort assault is you haven't gotten to know these orcs. But when you're playing in the context of the full game, every one of those enemies, or all your followers, is someone you've got a story with.
Right.
Started out as an enemy, and you defeated him and broke him down and dominated, and he joined you. So I think in the full game, they're so much richer as well.
I love now that you have you've got the allies, you've got your nemesis, you've got your enemies. There's so much more potential for personality in all of these characters now. That must be so much fun to write and to work on.
I think that's an area where we've really advanced from the first game. And I think the thing is now how we line those things up. So we have these great roles, whether it's the singer or the dwarf hater or the glutton. But now we have all the content, you know, they have the lines and the writing and the performance that brings that together. And then we have the art, the detail of the art to make those guys visually pay off. And now we have the different classes and abilities in the Nemesis system. So gameplay-wise, they're different as well. So it's not just, oh, these guys have got different names or some different lines. They're really different characters that can actually evolve and grow and just become these incredible supervillains.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, and I'm sure people watching at home will agree with me as well, the scripting and the voice acting in Shadow of Mordor and from what I've seen in Shadow of War are just different class. I mean, was that a very high bar you set yourself, like when you started working on these games?
I think it was critical for the personalities of the orcs and of the main characters and of the story to come through. And just, you know, the professionalism and the performance of the actors is amazing, because it's not easy to sit there and be like screaming out some of these really strong lines for hour after hour.
Sometimes I feel like I'd quite like to do that. I mean, it must be a good stress reliever, right?
Very cathartic, yeah. I'm sure we could have recorded a few times around the studio.
Yeah,
got some good
absolutely.
orcs.
Good. Let's talk also about some new abilities and progression. So both for Italian and for Celebrimbor, because there was some new stuff that I saw earlier today that I hadn't played with before.
Yep. So we've massively expanded the skills, both the base skills, and now you can upgrade each one of the skills to customize it depending on what your particular play style is.
Yeah.
And there's new skills in every area of the game. So the melee combat, I think probably the overarching theme that we've got is now, because we've got so much more animation, so much more art, so many more effects, we really take advantage of the fact that you're actually these two characters, Talion and Celebrimbor.
Yeah.
So in combat now, you can have multiple executions. You know, you can come in and decapitate an orc, and then Celebrimbor can zoom out and take down 2 or 3 other guys as well. And then in stealth, we take advantage of Celebrimbor. You can actually leave him behind as a wraith. He'll wait there as you move away, and as someone comes to investigate, he'll slaughter that guy. So even in stealth, you've got more options. You can dash around. In terms of the mobility, because the world's so much bigger, so much more vertical, so much more varied, you can now move so much more faster. You can go straight up the side of buildings. You can double jump with the power of the wraith.
That's cool.
I mean, incredible innovation in gaming. I really think that's going to take
I know.
off.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
on
yeah,
that.
We really.
I could.
Yeah.
But it does genuinely look super cool.
Yeah.
And then double jumping into
The slow-mo, and then from the slow-mo dashing to the ground, and then the explosion from your hammer hitting the ground. And then on top of all those, the other combat one I really love is you've got a glaive now, a spear.
Right.
So if you hold the X attack, that charges. And because the scale of the battles is so much larger and we've got hundreds of enemies, being able to charge that and just carve through them and build up combos on that
You're
feels
constantly
great.
adding new abilities.
Yeah.
It must be tricky to balance the game, right? Because you keep making the player more powerful. How do you slow them down?
It's a really big challenge, and it's very different to Shadow of Mordor, because the game's 3-4 times longer. We want to keep you growing in power through that whole time, but we want the game to keep challenging you. And the key to that, because you're becoming even more powerful, is the orcs. So the orcs now also have more weapons, more powers, more tricks up their sleeves, more hatreds. They're in bigger groups. So, you know, you're growing in power like this, but the enemies are growing like this as well.
Great. I believe one of my minions is bringing me something here.
Oh, excellent.
Thank you very much. Oh, look at this. Are these Snapchats? First one. So these are Snapchats that people have sent us in. Oh, fantastic. Well done. People have been sending us
Snapchat's
Snapchats.
awesome.
Did you see that, Lens?
Yeah.
So cool. All right, so I think we're going to show this on screen, right? Oh, just one. So number 1 here. So this is from Rio Ojin. Let's show that on screen. Is that a video? Oh, it's a still. Well, I can't see it, but I'm reliably informed that Rio Ojin looks sick as the Bright Lord. So congratulations. Thank you for sending that in. Keep them coming. Send them in. Hashtag it, Shadow of War.
Yep.
I don't know how we came up with that
Amazing.
one. Well done, the social media team. That's fantastic. And we'd love to see them. And keep your comments, your memories of Shadow of Mordor, your questions coming in as well. All right, where were we? I got distracted. And I bet you that's upside
there was
down
one more
as well.
skill that actually...
Yes.
So now, as well as that, you can now summon in your followers.
Right.
So because you're dominating the orcs, you can have your own bodyguard.
Yeah.
You can summon him as you're sneaking around. You can actually target them to go and attack enemies for you, which is super satisfying. And creatures. So you can summon in drakes, you can summon in these massive
I rode a
giant
drake
girls.
earlier.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah,
it's
so
really
cool.
cool. I mean, again, that kind of messes with the balance of your game a little bit unless you're careful, right?
Well, it's the
'Cause
same way. So it's a classic example of how do we deal with that? You're riding a dragon and just, you know, spraying fire over enemy armies. How do you deal with that? And we deal with that through having nemesis orcs that are monster slayers or drake slayers or have the hunter skills to actually take down that drake.
So for every power you gain, your enemies have a counter to that as well.
Absolutely.
Oh, it's just like real life, isn't it? All right, fantastic. What is the one thing you've added, just quickly to wrap up this section, what's the one thing you've added that you're particularly proud of?
Shit. Oh man, I should have an answer for that by now. So I think it's...
Is it Bruce?
He's, as a fellow Australian, I feel I'd be biased in saying it was Bruce. I think it's maybe the Saviours. It's maybe having those moments where you think it's all over and your follower just comes in and he just rips the guy away, stabs him in the face. There's just something about that moment.
I think to your point earlier that it really increases that bond you have between you and your allies, because all of a sudden they've actually, like, you thought you were on the brink of death, and they've literally saved your life.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that. All right, brilliant, Michael. That's absolutely fantastic. You'll join us later in the show, right?
Yeah, absolutely. My pleasure, for sure. Wouldn't miss the party.
All right, so still coming up, we've got a bunch more interviews. We've got some exclusive new footage for you. Of course, we've got that Martin Solveig DJ set later on as well. But right now, we're going to throw to a trailer about the story of Shadow of War. Let's go.
How much are you willing to sacrifice? To suffer?
I have given up everything.
Not everything.
My lord, we have located the new ring. Send the Nazgûl, all of them. I know what you fear, Tony. The ring can enslave the minds of men. We must hold to our purpose, no matter what the cost. I will not let them be slaughtered like my brothers at the Black Gate. We need to build our army. This is just a beginning.
Sauron will not stop until all of Middle-earth is dominated.
We do not serve the Dark Lord! We will take this land for our own! You fight for Mordor! You fight for the Bright Lord!
What new devilry is this? I come for you, Gondor. Try not to kill him too quickly. The new ring. Our ring. Is not marred with his shadow. It is perfect.
I strike down men corrupted by these rings. Do not become one of them.
When the time comes, I will do what is needed. Submit to your destiny.
Run to your master! And give him this message! I come for him!
Not bad, eh?
Not bad, not bad. I've been scared so many times today. I keep getting freaked
I
out.
know, they keep creeping up behind you. Right, I'm joined here by Game Riot. How are you, mate?
Not too bad.
I've seen you for absolutely ages.
I know, it's been a while.
Yeah, well, it's always at Gamescom as well,
Yeah,
isn't it?
always.
It's generally one of our meetups. So, we wanted to talk to you because we know that you are a big Shadow of Mordor fan. You played a lot of that game, and of course you played Shadow of War out here at Gamescom on Xbox One X as well, right?
Yes, correct. In 4K.
Fantastic. So what was your first impressions then?
It's a bigger Shadow of Mordor, which is very, very exciting. The combat is a lot more fluid. The movement is a lot more rapid. There's so much more space to cover now.
Yeah.
The map is humongous. So I was going from point A to B, jumping, doing the double jump, which is brand new, with the ring, and it looks really, really cool.
Looks awesome, doesn't
The
it?
flip
I
is just
know.
like, oh.
He's a badass. I think he could be a gymnast as
No,
well
no,
as a
no,
Bright
no.
Lord Celebrimbor. It's good.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Shadow War in a minute. I want to go back to Shadow of Mordor, actually. Like, tell me your memories of Shadow of Mordor. What was it about that
been a
game
while,
that
hasn't
grabbed you in the first place, and then, you know, what's kept you sticking around?
I was a massive Lord of the Rings fan, and I just kept seeing this coverage just keep popping up, and I was like, what is this game? I have to play it, and it's one of those games that come out of nowhere, and it just really impressed me. Like, the open worlds, the combat, the story behind it, and the fact it was back in Lord of the Rings was just so exciting.
Yeah.
And also all the films had finished, and I was like, I need my fix. And it got me straight back in it.
Yeah.
Great.
It was a bit of a sleeper hit, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it's like they had the real word of mouth
Yeah.
kind of thing. Everyone started talking about it, and then all of a sudden everyone was
Bang,
playing it.
everyone's
Right?
playing it, yeah. Great.
Grand. So, what's your favourite memory from that game? I mean, was it like, was
been
there
a
a
while.
particular nemesis that stood out for you, or like a particular moveset? Or...
I think for me, just the intro of the game, and just getting into it, and seeing the combat, and not sure if you guys remember it, but that bit of stealth. You see your wife, spoilers.
That's right at the start of the game. I mean, if that's a spoiler for you, then come on.
Yes, once you see like your son die, and then the mum, it's like, whoa, okay, this is getting serious already.
Yeah.
Orcs have just killed your family.
That's just the first 5 minutes of the game. I mean, where's it going to go from here?
Yeah.
But it did have that amazing first couple of hours, like that really, like, it taught you everything about the game and it did really fast. It was a really entertaining way of doing it as well, right?
Definitely agree.
Some tutorials can be a wee bit.
It does sort of throw you in there, like, oh, there's loads of orcs around you all of a sudden.
But also, I remember it just, you felt incredibly powerful very quickly.
Yes.
Which was cool as
definitely.
well. So it's like you're in the deep end, but you're equipped.
Yeah. Also got that progression where you feel stronger and stronger as you get on in the game.
Yeah.
You feel like you can take on more orcs and deflect them away and just keep punishing.
That's it. So let's talk about Shadow of War. Like, what did you see in the demo you played today? What did you do and what stood out for you?
So I decided to do some more of the story missions. One was to save 9 captives.
Right.
It's actually more of like a human concept in this game now.
Okay.
So humans are actually in it. You've got to try and save the humans and talk to them and interact, which is interesting.
Yeah.
So I saved 9 captives in stealth, full stealth. And I was surprised how much, I haven't played Shadow of Mordor for a while. I was surprised I jumped back in it and I was ready to go. It felt really good. So I was jumping around, using the bow again. It felt really good.
Right. Did you come up against any of the new big creatures, the beasts of Middle Earth?
I didn't, but I've been seeing people facing against them and they look absolutely massive. Like
it's
the
a
size
great addition as well,
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
Okay, nice. What about the visuals?
I mean, on the Xbox One X, it's on 4K, unreal. Like, just the sort of graphics, the graphics looked amazing. The fidelity was just spot on, and it was awesome.
All right. What are you excited about when the actual full game comes out? What do you think you're going to do first?
I just want to amass my humongous army and just conquer Mordor. That's what I want to do. Just keep getting it bigger and bigger, and just trample anyone that gets in my way.
Those fortress assaults are so cool. When I did one earlier, the great thing is you set it up. You have to choose your allies first of all. You can take, I think, a maximum of 6 in there.
Correct, yeah.
But there's this great part at the start of the fortress assault where you have to match up your allies against the war chiefs and the overlord in the fortress, right? So you've got to kind of say, all right, well, he's really powerful with fire, so I need to counter that, and then add your buffs, and then you actually get into it and take them on. And it's a really fascinating game mode. There's that strategy, and then there's the action that follows it as well.
And that intro is just when you see your army, and you're just like,
you get that cutscene, and the Overlord walks out from his balcony atop the fortress and gives it the big, come on then, we'll take you all on.
You just want to get the bow and go bang, like straight to the eyes.
Exactly, Well, it'd make things a bit quicker, wouldn't it? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
All right, mate, that's fantastic. Game right, everyone. What about that?
Yeah. Good.
Having a good time?
I'm excited, I'm really excited for this game, sure.
Get outside and have a beer with the orcs.
I will.
All right, everyone, so we've still got tons of stuff coming up later in the show. We've got some more interviews. We've got loads of stuff. Stick around. And we've got Martin Solveig coming up with a DJ set later as well. But right now, we're going to throw to another trailer, and I believe this trailer is about the open world of Shadow of War.
the Bright Lord.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Shadow of War Legendary War Party. Oh, joined by another mystery guest. How are you, mate? It's Jarrett, right?
It's Jarrett, yeah. So
Jarrett.
I'm not mic'd up at the moment, so I'm going to lean in and say hello to everybody.
Oh, well, you know,
Yeah, it's just getting close.
The magic of television, you can't actually see what's up there. But there is a mic up there, so
Beautiful,
hopefully
it's
we can
amazing.
see it. All right, so yes,
Everybody.
we're here at the Shadow of War Legendary War Party. We're coming to you live from Cologne in Germany. We're here at gamescon this week, and the wonderful people at Warner Brothers and Monolith have brought along a brand new demo of Shadow of War. It's playing right in here on a whole ton of Xbox One X's. Looks absolutely fantastic. And we've got a great show lined up for you. There's more stuff coming tonight, lots more interviews. We've got some exclusive, never seen before content. And then we've got DJ Martin Solveig rocking up later.
Ooh, that's going to be great fun.
Pretty good,
Can't
isn't
wait-
it?
Yeah, I can't wait to hear him.
I think he's probably getting off the private jet right about now.
I
getting
think
into
the
a
helicopter's
fancy
landing
car.
out back, actually.
It's not bad, is it? The life of a superstar DJ.
No, not at all. I can't wait to see the truck that comes in to take the helicopter. It'll be perfect.
You know, back in my day, it was just carrying around like bags of records. You know?
Just dump it out.
In the back of like a camper van or something like that. Now they're all on private jets. Right, Jarrett,
Yeah.
what have you come here to talk to us about?
So today, I think I'd actually like to talk a little bit about the demo, because we were going to have some people come and chat and play, but I've actually played it a lot because I work with the developers. I mean, everybody recognizes me. Hello, everybody. It's nice to see you. It's good. So,
What's your job title? What do you do?
So, for those of you who don't know specifically, I'm the live streamer. Community specialist of live streaming is the official term.
I
And,
wish someone had told me this.
You know, sometimes
What
in the
am I
magic,
doing here?
In the magic of Twitch,
I
things
could be
just
over
happen
there
fast.
having a beer with the orcs.
Dude, you could be playing the game, having a beer, kicking your feet up. It'd be wonderful. But you're
Unbelievable.
with me.
Oh, mate, I'm glad you're here now.
you.
This is good. Stick around for the rest of the show.
Oh,
All right,
yeah.
so
I'm
what's
in-
new for you, mate?
All right, so this is the fun stuff, because we're talking about what we've been doing in the demo. I want to talk about a little bit of what I played in the demo today. So I jumped in, and as I was going through here, we had a war chief situation. So
Yeah.
if you guys have seen what we've done on stream, we have these various missions that allow you to fight a war chief and pull them out. So, but before we had that started, we had this moment of these war chiefs are just super powerful and scared. But it's like, and during these times, I'm actually helping people play, because that's kind of the plan.
Right.
We're doing handling. It's one of the best ways to help people learn how to play is you get one of us to hang out and tell you what to do.
Absolutely.
Or how to do it. Normally how to do it.
I wish you were around when I was having a go earlier.
Oh man, we can do that later. That'll be great fun.
Okay, good.
But this was like my favorite thing, because this individual honestly was like, I don't really get into Shadow of Mordor too much. I was like, really? Like, well, I hope you'll find this more
Get
interesting.
out.
Oh man, I'm open. Let him in. Go get him. Now, this is the best person to talk to. So he comes in and he's playing,
Yeah.
and as he's fighting some guys, I was like, oh, climb up the building, because people like Ologs can't climb.
Right.
So he's starting to climb during this, and all the Ologs are down there. Ah! But he goes up and he's fighting people one-on-one, kicking them off the building, and it's like, this is amazing. Like,
Nice.
kills off a captain. This is awesome. He turns this guy into a spy. So what you do with a spy is these guys go in and they sit behind your opponent, and then you start this war chief mission.
Yeah.
So this guy's playing it, and the camera zooms in, kind of like, if I can do this.
Yeah.
Perfect. And then we
I
can't.
had no idea you were there.
Exactly, it was
Very
invisible.
stealthy.
But
Yeah.
basically, the camera does, and suddenly, dude pops out, hits the guy, and immediately starts a fight. We just sit there and watch these two orcs battle it out. Because it's, I mean, from Mordor to War, the AI and fighting is just so different and so cool. And it was legitimately just a moment I was like, well, what do you think now? And the guy's like, I'm surprised.
I'm in.
I'm actually very surprised. I'm like, good, I'm happy to hear that.
It's awesome.
So-
I think you've hit on that point again. We've talked about it a couple of times. I mean, this game just creates stories, doesn't it? It creates stories for every player, and I think the difference I've seen in Shadow War so far is the variety of those stories is even greater than it's ever been before.
I mean, it's one of the things where when you have your first close orc betray you,
Yeah.
it actually hurts a little bit. Because
Yeah.
you're like, Tugok, you and I, we've been through multiple fortress assaults. I've died for two of them, and you betray me now? But he's like, hey, I had a blood brother and you hit him. What am I going to do? And I'm like, but that's how it is, and that's the experience, and that's what really grows it, because sometimes those moments of pain almost change how you play.
Right.
Because it's like, I have that moment, I'm going to be more careful, because I care about Tugok. Or I hate Tugok now. He's going out.
He's done.
Nobody betrays me like that. And I mean, that's one of the joys, and also, like, so when you talk to different people who play, you have like an orc that's legendary, and they drop legendary gear. none of them can survive for more than 10 seconds because I have to take them out for the gear. Like, I see them, I'm like, oh, you're beautiful, you're gonna die.
And you're surprised the orcs are betraying you.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You can't walk around like that, man. That's not a good way to live your life. Coveting other
I am the
orcs'
best
armor.
dressed person in Mordor.
Fair
I don't know
enough.
what you're talking about.
Hey, I suppose if you've got the best armor, then you can do what you want, can you? You obviously know what the community are saying, what they're asking for from Shadow of War. What's like the biggest community requested feature that you've seen being implemented in Shadow of War?
You know, I think actually the one that stands out most to me is one of our higher difficulties, because in Shadow of Mordor, people talked about how by the end of the game you were so powerful that you felt like, I almost kind of want to go back to when it was hard again. And so in Shadow of War, we have this massive variety of difficulties, from easy, normal, and the Nemesis difficulty, which I've been playing with recently. And it's fascinatingly different because it goes from a moment of like, I can storm this fort to I'm running away. Like, it's become part of my strategy. I'm like, I know if I move, they will have to run after me. There's things called grog barrels. Remember exploding them in the demo? You poison it a little bit, shoot it, boom, big fire explosion. You're running away. You continue to drag them on. Versus in something like Shadow of Mordor, you would find yourself where it's like, I can handle thousands of orcs, no problem. Shadow of War, especially on this Nemesis difficulty, you have to become a strategic fighter, which is an amazing experience when suddenly stealth is like the best way for me to take out something. When it used to be, I'd kick down the front door, shoot everybody in the foot, flip over their heads, and this time it's like I kick down the door, my ankle breaks. Like, it's such a sudden like, oh, I gotta do something new here.
Right, tell me about Fortress Assaults. I mean, have you seen some quite high-level players taking on Fortress Assaults, and what kind of stories are you seeing being written?
So I have two favorite types of stories. One was actually a couple months ago. We had a person fighting a variety of orcs, and she was killed by a war chief. So she wanted revenge on him. And the war chief, or excuse me, the overlord, thought it was a spy, took this guy out and killed him in front of everyone. It's like, I got your spy, kicks him off the top. What? And both her and I look at it, it was like, I have never seen that before. Like, I've seen the spy thing, but never him grab the war chief that killed you. And she had this moment of like sadness, like, I wanted that. So that was one of my favorites. And the second one was, Ellie is one of our players that people have seen. She's been on stream a couple times. And she just kicks ass when she plays. So we were talking about creating an achievement, which we haven't quite yet, whatever. But the idea was like to play and take on a fortress alone with no orcs helping you. And that is one of the most harder, and I'm just really excited to see what you are able to do because you'll blow past us so much in skill.
Sorry. Have you had a chance to walk around this party out here?
You know, I've seen the fire dancers, the roasted cow.
The roasted cow? I know I never talked about that.
You didn't see that? They have a full cow to spit.
I thought it was a Balrog or something like that.
Oh man, I wish. But we need a bigger spit.
It's absolutely massive, I'll say that. I don't know what it was. Yeah, the orcs are cool at the back as well, aren't they?
Oh god, the orcs that came in too?
Yeah.
I love those guys.
So anything else you want to hit on this week at Gamescom? I mean, what are you looking forward to the rest of the week?
Honestly, if you guys are here at Gamescom, I'm going to be hanging out at the consumer booth. Come by, and I'll be just talking to people online and hanging out. So with that, let's move on to the rest of our stuff, shall we?
I think we're being told here we've got another Snapchat to show.
Oh, another Snapchat.
We've got another Snapchat to show.
Man. Cool.
Do we have a name?
It's on the card?
What card?
It's on the card.
You chucked a card at me.
We have an extra card. Quick.
Pick a card anywhere.
I'll distract them. They won't know. This was all planned. Perfect.
Whoa.
Perfect
Just like that. Seamless, isn't it? Well done. I didn't. Oh, okay. All right. So have we got it? Have we got it on screen? Okay. So this is Queen Meerkat on screen here.
Ooh.
Pretty good. I wish we could see them. I feel left out.
So, on a note, like, if you haven't yet seen them, I'll describe them. My favorite thing is if you're wearing a beard, it looks like very old Italian.
Oh yeah?
It's like, it's a wonderful thing.
We're being told to wrap up. Come on, Jarrett, stop talking.
Sorry.
All right, we've got a ton more stuff coming up next, but now we're going to throw it to another video. Let's have a look.
Ranger! I will see you through to your end.
In 2014, Shadow of Mordor introduced the revolutionary Nemesis system. Millions of players forged their own personal stories with unique enemies and allies.
Now you perish.
And now, with the all-new free Nemesis Forge update, their stories will continue in Shadow of War. Launch Shadow of Mordor and select the Nemesis Forge game mode. If you've already played Shadow of Mordor, the Nemesis Forge will automatically detect your highest-ranking orc nemesis. If you're new to the game, you'll be facing your own unique nemesis soon. The Nemesis Forge will also identify your most loyal orc follower, who will help you overthrow Sauron's forces. When the highly anticipated Shadow of War releases on October 10th this year, your nemesis and follower will be waiting for you.
The time has come for this debt to be paid.
Your TV sets, you are not seeing double. This is my brother from another mother, Andy Salisbury. How are you, mate?
Doing fantastic. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm getting some glasses in here.
There we go.
Just so we can definitely look the same.
I got to make sure that we're really dialed up.
How about that?
Is it annoying that you look better in them immediately?
Oh, don't be like that.
It's happened so
God,
fast.
I've got an instant migraine
Yes.
from that. Are you okay?
It's who are these for?
Bloody hell. That was unbelievable. So Andy, you're the community manager for Shadow of War, right?
I am, yeah.
How's it going?
It's outstanding. I mean,
weeks like Gamescom are like Christmas for you.
it's basically what we work towards at any given time. It's like the thing is, it's so fun just to be in a position where we can basically just take the game and just finally let people play it. Like it's the most rewarding thing where, you know, we've been sitting around working on this game in private for so long to just finally be at a point where we can't even just announce a trailer, but actually let people come hands-on with or go hands-on with it. It's been outstanding.
Well, I kind of work around community management, social media management as well.
No,
So,
come on,
I
you're a
know what
community
it's
guy
like.
yourself. Of course you are. Yeah.
You know, it's a lot of these things are years and years of planning before it even gets into the hands of your community that you're so close to. So those moments where you can see gamers like this here playing it on Xbox One X, it's pretty special.
It's outstanding. Like just being in a position where you can. The fun thing for me is, you know, we obviously play the game a lot internally. You know, we have internal play tests. We bring it home just to make sure everything's working right, which is also a bit of a guilty pleasure.
Right.
Getting to sit around before we've even announced Shadow of War and sitting around and just playing it all weekend, just with a beer in my hand and petting my cat and everything. It's just the best time you could ask for. But it's so fun just to come out and see. I think, you know, even to this day, I'll still go out and watch Shadow of Mordor streams just for fun. Right. And I still get such a sense of excitement, like watching people approach it an entirely different way than I would. When they're at a point in the story and they're approaching the game from an entirely different way than I would, because the Nemesis system for them is like just beating them up in a way that, you know, obviously is a very good Shadow of Mordor player I would never let happen.
No, yes, me too, mate. I know exactly what you're talking about.
I've heard stories.
Yeah, indeed. Tell me about this Shadow community, because it's incredible, isn't it? I mean, I was saying to Game Riot earlier that the game felt like it was a bit of a sleeper hit to begin with, but then it grew into this huge community that stuck around for a long time.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting because we've got a lot of channels that we love digging in deep with. You know, we've got our own community at community.wbgames.com, which are incredibly responsive and incredibly vibrant. We have an outstanding subreddit community. They still gather on our Shadow of Mordor. It's just because they've said, all right, Shadow of War, no, just come out here. We've got a great community filled with folks already. We've of course got people hitting us up on Twitter and Facebook, and it's great because. And also, too, actually, I got to give a lot of credit. The guy you guys all just saw recently, Jared, we've got an outstanding Twitch stream that we love that gives us a great direct connection with the fans. And we've got YouTube channels that are dedicated to Shadow of Mordor, like Uruk's Hollow, who's making all the videos of how to most dig deepest into the Nemesis system in ways that we couldn't even possibly understand. And it's just been an outstanding way just to watch. I think, to me, one of the coolest parts is as I watch all of these individual communities, as I see the ways they interact and they're trying to elevate each other,
The most interesting thing to me is, you know, we write a lot of stories we're very proud of at Monolith. You know, in Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War, we got a whole new big epic story we can't wait to tell. But whenever anyone comes out to us, when they're most excited, they're always telling us about their nemesis. Some big 5-paragraph long story about some guy who hunted him down and chased him across regions and everything. And like, it's kind of one of my guilty pleasures of being the person who's sitting around on the subreddit all day, who gets to fire those off to the team every once in a while and just let them see how all the systems of chaos really clash together in a way where they've got this deeply personal enemy where they just can't wait to just beat him to death. It's outstanding.
What's been the most creative thing you've seen created within the community, you know, based on those kind of stories or experiences?
There's actually, so to reference actually something that I was just talking about, there's a YouTube channel called Uruk's Hollow, which is actually named after one of the regions in, I believe, I'm trying to remember the name of the zone. I can't remember right now because I'm doing a bad job. But at any rate, he created this
Don't
this
do that
channel.
to yourself. That's not fair.
Fair enough. I'm glad you're here. Thank you so much. Yeah.
You got this. You're okay.
Is that all right? All right. I'm centered. We got this. So Uruk's Hollow does a fantastic job of basically. This individual breaks down every piece of the Nemesis system in a way that even our QA team, where he'll publish a video about how to dominate 2 Graugs within one region, or how to go through the game without even having a Nemesis.
Right.
You know, and all of these really intricate things that, like, I remember there was that one that I actually just mentioned where how to get through Shadow of Mordor without a Nemesis. I saw that pop up, and he's actually very responsive. He'll send me a message every once in a while on Reddit and be like, hey man, I just want to give you a preview of what I'm doing. Like, I hope this is cool. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I couldn't even imagine something cooler, you know? And it's like watching him go through and just dismantle the game in ways and really dig into the systemic nature of Shadow of Mordor. I think for all of us as the, you know, the nerds making video games at Monolith, like we love having that opportunity to be like, how did he do that? We have a whole team of guys beating this game to death in the most interesting ways we could possibly imagine, and he's just bringing out the most interesting possible fringe scenarios and like tying them into one of his own cohesive stories.
That's great. Tell me about the process you go through when you're gathering all that great community information. You know, there's feedback, that data, those creative things. How do you then take that to the dev team in a way that will then influence the game?
You know, I think the nice thing about working at Monolith is the team is incredibly responsive to that kind of stuff. They realize the importance of community. Whenever I send a message out, or whenever, honestly, you know, the thing that really at the core of it to me that's most important is whenever anyone sends us a message, whether it's positive, whether it's critical, no matter what the case is, I think all around Monolith, there's a pretty clear sense that they wouldn't want to reach out unless they cared in some way. You know, even if someone's upset about something, it's because they spent enough time to care about their interactions in Mordor, their interactions potentially in Shadow of War. And so to be in the position where I can actually take this information, they're incredibly open and receptive to it, it's been outstanding. You know, and the cool part is actually as we were creating Shadow of War, we actually dug through a lot of wish lists for Shadow of Mordor. It was like, you know, people before we had announced anything, there was a lot of wish lists, especially on our subreddit, that came out and said, you know, if you could have a Shadow of Mordor 2, what would be in it? What would you do? And there was this great part where, you know, we had been working pretty much the moment Shadow of Mordor went out, we started creating our craziest ideas for what Shadow of War can be. And it was incredibly gratifying to sit around and be like, this wish list, check, check, check. You know, like it was so cool. And they're like, bigger world, being able to ride beasts around more, having a more expanded nemesis system. I want to be able to like create orcs who are actually my followers and friends that I go on missions with. Like being able to sit around and actually look at those things, I think was incredibly gratifying for the team because they knew, you know, it's a tremendous amount of hard work for all of us to go ahead and put a system like that together that can be that responsive and that systemic. But at the same time, it's also just cool to create a game where you can just go in and be, you know, the hero of Middle Earth and just have that unifying story.
Yeah, totally. Which new features do you think are going to resonate particularly well with the Shadow community?
If I had to guess, followers and loot. Because it's weird, because those two admittedly to me tie together in a really interesting way, where with the followers, you know, obviously in Shadow of Mordor, it was all about these epic tales of rivalry and revenge and bloodshed, and we've expanded on that a ton. We're really excited for people to dig into tribes and everything. But when you've got followers you've been on missions with, when you care about these guys, you're going on a fortress assault, and you've got all your guys flanking you and you're lined up, and they're talking trash about the enemy overlord. You know, those are guys that you've spent tons of hours with, going on beast hunts, saving them from executions, helping them out on duels if they deserve it. And it's really incredible to actually get in that position where, at least for me, as I'm playing through my own playthroughs of Shadow of War at home every once in a while, you know, like in each region, I rely on my bodyguard distinctly. You know, like I can count on a certain skill set in every single area. And then the fun part is that kind of extends into the loot system where whenever you kill an enemy captain, war chief, or overlord, they're going to drop a piece of loot depending on their tribe or their level, or, you know, if they're a legendary captain or anything. But it's also a little bit bittersweet when like your best friend that you've been fighting side by side with dies, and it's like, Well, he dropped a great sword, though, so I can't be all mad.
Yeah.
You know, he went out with a bang.
The gift that keeps on giving.
Exactly, yeah.
Do you want to give some shout-outs to people or places in the community?
Oh my God, I would love to.
It's a great opportunity to call some people out and thank them for their efforts.
First things first, we have a whole team of community mods who help us out with all of our live streams. El Haldir and Juiceman, I believe, are the two guys who are currently, no, pardon me, I mispronounced your name, I'm sorry, but you guys are currently in here helping us out. Thank you so much for everything. We've also got, again, the community at WBGames.com group, which are always willing to just reach out and let us know whatever they're thinking and feeling, which is nice because, again, even if they're critical, they're willing to have a conversation with us, which I think goes a long way. You know, I think in having a team like myself and Jared, we've got our boss Mark as well, who's willing to make sure he's digging through the trenches with us. Yeah. You know, it's an incredibly important emphasis, and I gotta say, for a long time, the subreddit, our Shadow of Mordor, has been one of my favorite places to check out. In the morning when I wake up, it's one of my favorite places to read through. When I'm laying in bed convincing myself I don't have to get out from underneath the warm covers in Seattle, you know?
Nice, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just incredibly gratifying, you know, to have a community of folks that enjoy, frankly, hanging out in Mordor as much as we do, but it's also people that love the Tolkien universe as we do in a lot of ways. It's just such a constant source of inspiration. So.
I just like the idea of the subreddit just imagining themselves being in bed with you every single morning now.
I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah.
And now
interesting one,
here's the thing, now I can't stop thinking about it.
I mean, I hope you've got a big bed.
I got it. It's all right. My cat might be a little upset about sharing it with someone, but he can be convinced with enough treats, like the rest of us.
Indeed, yeah. What else have you got planned for the community this week at Gamescom?
You know, so far we've actually got, the great part is here actually at Gamescom, we have 50 stations where people can actually come and play it on the floor at Gamescom, which has got to be one of the coolest things we've ever done. Like to actually be able to put together 50 stations so we can always have people coming through, checking out. We have Gorgoroth, which is one of the zones in Shadow of War playable. Yeah. You can do a fortress assault against one of the highest tier fortresses. Yeah. So at E3 and in past shows, we've showed off kind of a mid to like lower to mid tier fortress just to kind of get people used to the idea. Yeah. But here we have a full-blown citadel available where you actually have like these level 40 and 50 level Uruks and Ologs, so we're just ripping you to shreds.
Tell me about it.
Yeah. I was watching you play earlier. You can't sell yourself short like that. Don't let him tell you that he's not good at the game.
It was coming back to me.
Yeah, he's shaking off the rust, that's all.
Exactly, it was that. It was totally
But we're just, I don't know, there's something always thrilling about being able to, especially as a community guy, just to watch people play the game, to see their sincere reactions. You know, like, there's no agenda, they just want to see if the game's fun or not. Yeah. And we're thrilled to be out here to help them, you know, see if they like it or not.
Good. Have you talked to some of the attendees in here about playing it?
Yeah, that's basically what I've been doing all night.
Nice.
It's been a nice opportunity to share a beer with a few other Bright Lords.
And we're delighted to have Shadow of War on the Xbox booth as well.
Yeah.
You can come along to the Xbox booth as well as the Warner Brothers booth and play it there.
And we're thrilled to have it as a Play Anywhere title, frankly. Like to be able to have it, to have that situation, to live in that dreamland where you can go from your living room and your mom wants to come in and watch Revenge or Grey's Anatomy or whatever, and it's like, well, I've got a PC in my room. I'm just going to take all my save transfer files, all my achievements, and just keep playing. Yeah. It's kind of a dreamland to be able to live in. You know?
That's great. All right, fantastic, Andy. Thank you so much for your time. You're not going anywhere. We can have a beer later.
Count me in.
Good. All right, are we ready to go to a video, everybody? Are we ready
that sounds
for
like a firm maybe.
No, maybe we're not. I don't know. Are we ready for a video, Mike?
Mike, are we ready for a video?
I don't know. Maybe we should vamp for a little bit more. There's all sorts of conversations going in there.
YouTube.com/urukshollow.
The desk over. The DJ's arrived, everybody! Martin Solveig is here! Fantastic!
Yes!
That's evidently why it's got quiet in here, because everyone's run out.
Yeah, that's
well,
actually a good point.
Why don't we, for the meantime, throw to a video?
We're just going to try and see if we can get live to it on the red carpet as it turns up. So we're just going to find out now.
Well, why don't we go to a video in the meantime, and then we can work that out?
We have to do that first.
Andy?
Yeah?
When the DJ comes, the DJ comes.
Tell me something.
Gladly.
How excited are you about seeing Martin Solveig this evening?
Very.
And hearing him.
I think it should. The seeing part's very exciting and everything, but the hearing and being a part of that group of people that just jump around in the middle, I think I can count myself in for that. We have a lot of tribes in Shadow of War, so I think a little bit of tribal jumping wouldn't be too bad, you know? We're members of the Feral, so it works
We haven't
out.
actually talked about tribes. We should do that now while we're trying to work out what's happening back there.
No,
tell us about the tribes.
So the thing is, actually, the tribes are, for me, one of my favorite parts because it's this awesome... He's just coming down.
Oh, okay, so we're going to go to Martin Solveig
Tribes
right now.
coming up later. What are we counting down to? I can keep talking about the tribes.
Martin Solveig's out there. How is he? Is he okay?
He's the best.
Yeah, well, that's fantastic. All right, can we go to a video now? Good. All right, we're going to go to a video now, guys. I hope you enjoyed that. I think we're just about to meet a lovely little lady called Shelob.
She doesn't belong to a tribe.
Come, Talion. See through my eyes.
She is not our ally.
My gaze is fixed upon the fate of Middle-earth. Look to Minas Ithil.
The spiders showed us the truth. Gondor's last fortress in Mordor cannot fall.
Minas Ithil will go the way of all flesh.
How much of your soul was lost in that ring? There's truth in your vision. Grant me another.
Careful what you ask for. With prophecy comes torment.
Great deceiver will pay for his betrayal.
Her sight may be what saves us all. Return what you have stolen from me, and I will bring Sauron to you.
Why would I do that, Ringmaker? You and Sauron are one.
Welcome back, everybody! Hope you're having a good time.
Sorry, sound guy.
Michael DePlatter almost fell off a step there a second ago.
Right.
I saw that. I saw
Couple too many beers for Michael.
Fantastic. All right. Hey, everyone, I'm joined by Matt Allen, who is the Director of Technical Art at Monolith. How are you, Matt?
I'm fucking great.
Good.
Yeah, this is
Glad.
awesome. Yeah.
It's good fun, isn't
Yeah,
it? We're
this
having
is
a lot of
huge
fun
fun.
here.
This is
I hope
fantastic.
you're enjoying it at home. We're having a good time here.
Yeah.
What about this party's quality, isn't it?
It's crazy. It's literally crazy. It is actually. So we're in here with a bunch of Xbox One X's, and there's a bunch of folks playing. But literally 10 feet away, there's this giant dance floor. But it's like 50 degrees hotter in here. Like I've been dancing for the last 45 minutes. I didn't break a sweat. I walked in here and I just like started. I feel like I've been in the bath.
Is that your usual warm up for an interview? Just busting some
Yeah,
shapes
just
on
like
the dance floor? Quite right.
I do it. Yeah, I do what I can.
Wow. God, I hope it was dark in there.
I do too. I hope nobody was filming.
All right,
Unlike
Matt.
this.
So tell us what you do at Monolith, mate.
So I'm the Director of Technical Arts.
Yes.
And that, mostly that means that I get to make everything run on these machines and work with both the engineers and the artists to make sure that we're pulling every last bit of power out of these boxes.
Right.
And you know what? One of the really cool things we get to do here at Gamescom is we get to show off Shadow of War on the Xbox One X.
Yes.
And
thank you for that. We're so happy that it's running on Xbox One X.
Yeah,
here.
I mean it's
And on our
sweet.
booth
I mean
at
I wish we
Gamescom as
could
well.
I wish we could pan, like I know entire chats like gameplay, chat. There are like 50 machines right over here with a ton of gameplay.
That's just rubbing it in.
Looking hot.
That's just rubbing it in.
Sorry, chat.
Tell me about Shadow of War and how it's changed from Mordor, from your point of view, from like the technical
Oh, it's
perspective.
huge. I mean, like from a purely technical perspective, like the amount of stuff we've had to jam in this thing and make it run at frame rate, and so it feels smooth. It's pretty bad.